Hello everyone, this is Clossi, and I am back with another little game review. And in this game, we are going to be going over one of my students' games, Helios's game here. And he thought this game was really bad, but we actually learned a lot of things from this game, and we were able to actually spend an entire hour talking about theories and what he can learn from this game. And I wanted to share some of that with you guys. This is going to be just a quick little lecture, well, hopefully quick little lecture, about some attack and defense strategy. So we're going to skip through the opening a bit, and we're going to talk about the A, B, and C here. And so in the game, he was playing, he played C, and this is normally not a good strategy because your opponent can easily attack you, like he did in the game, and make three weak groups. And three weak groups are normally bad. So many of you know this, but let's talk about some theories about why he did this and then why it's bad. Okay, so first off, why he did this. He said he was trying to play very light and very fast-paced, and I can understand where he's coming from because in some previous lectures, we talked about getting Sente more often and getting faster and moving around more and getting more for more bang for your buck, more for each move, making each move more valuable. And so, yes, I've talked about this before, and I've told students this, but in this case, it's a little bit too much, and that is because you were having too many weaknesses, and it'll be too hard to deal with all of them. Even if you're everywhere on the board, if you can't deal with everywhere, then eventually something's going to backfire and die. So you don't want that to happen. Now, when he said he was doing this, he said he was going to be willing to sacrifice something in order to build a position, and just even though he had three weak groups, he was going to sacrifice one of them, and with that mindset, he was going to easily manage this situation. And let me go ahead and talk to you guys about that little bit right there, because many players might try this, and many of you might think, okay, let's just attack, and even if as long as I kill one of them, I'll be fine. But what if that's the trap? Because actually, what he said was a very valid strategy and a very valid point. He can easily sacrifice one of these and make a very good position. So for example, if I just push through here, he Hanes, he cut Atari, and then I just fix with something like that, or maybe something like that, then I'm getting a lot of influence, and I've easily destroyed the top side and the left side that he had control of. Now, granted, I think Black's still a little bit behind, but that's due to previous mistakes. I think in this position, this is a very fine strategy, and then White could have done a lot better here. Now, I will go ahead and throw out a disclaimer. I don't play the best moves. I am not a professional player. I don't want you to think that these are the best moves. I don't want anyone that is stronger than me saying these moves are horrible, these moves are bad. I'm only using these as examples to explain some common theories that you might be able to use in your games. So in this case, the theory is I can sacrifice something in order to manage the position very nicely. So if your opponent has multiple weak groups and they can easily sacrifice one of them, they're all very light like this or something, then yes, if you just attack and kill one of them, and that one's very, very small, and they easily sacrifice it, then you fell into the trap. And that trap is you thought that if you keep them cut and you keep them separated and one of them dies, it's going to be good enough for you. And in this case, it kind of is, but you can do a lot better. So in this case, it's actually better, rather than keeping all three cut, is to turn it into two groups and keep two cut. So for example, like this. Now you can see White's on the outside, White's controlling the center of the board, and now Black's going to be struggling for life. Even if Black can live immediately right here, let's just throw out some stones right there. Say he immediately lives. White still has the advantage in the exchange rate, and you can see Black does not have control of the center anymore. So yes, he was able to destroy the left, but the top side is clearly in White's control and White's favor. Whereas if we compare that to the other result, where if we had just pushed and cut, then you can see that the difference is quite large. And this has to do with the attack and defense idea of wanting to be on the outside, wanting to be in the spot that it will affect the rest of the board. And that can matter very greatly in attack and defense. So just because you want to attack and cut something doesn't necessarily mean it's the best strategy. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes this is a very valid strategy. When there's three weak groups and they're all very large and none of them can die or it's game over, then of course keep them cut and attack and maybe try to kill one of them. But normally, in normal situations, more times than not, you don't want to kill anything. So if you don't want to kill anything and you want to force all three of these to live, then what's the best strategy to deal with or to use here? And that is make profit and be on the outside. Surround and make profit. Surround and make profit. And that's usually the best attack, is to just surround something. And just surrounding this is actually good enough. And that's actually a much better strategy than trying to push and cut here, even though it looks so obvious and so many people try to do it. Maybe cutting here is better, but now granted this is not the best strategy. What if I just sacrifice and get some topside? Yes, you got the left, which is clearly more than the top, so it's still good for white. I'm not saying the cut's not good. I'm saying that what if sometimes just surrounding is better? So maybe in this case, cutting might be better in a certain way. If you read it out, count it, and maybe it is. But what if you have a scenario where it isn't? What if there's a scenario where forcing 2 of the 3 weak groups to connect and just surrounding and being on the outside is more profitable? So I would like to use that as the topic of this video and say that theory may very well save you in some very confusing situations and may very well be useful when trying to attack the opponents that like to invade everywhere and are willing to sacrifice and give up something. Because at the end of the day, killing is usually bad. And many players are surprised by that. And I've actually asked professional players this, and I asked them, I was like, why do you say killing's bad when professional players love attack and defense? And they corrected me saying it's not. They do love attack and defense. Attacking's very profitable, and they love being in control of the game. They love feeling in control of the game, and they love making points in Sente, and they love attacking. But they hate killing, because killing, they only get that. They don't get control of the game. Their opponent can just tanuki, they can ignore and go play somewhere else and make something somewhere else. So I found that as a very funny conversation. Professional players love attacking, but hate killing. And this isn't every professional, mind you. It's just a general idea or general concept, and that is they love to attack, but they hate killing. So what if that's the secret? Attack, but don't kill. That might be the biggest secret for attack and defense that many players just don't know. Attack for profit, do not try to kill, because killing is usually less than the profit you could have gained by forcing them to live. And what I mean by profit is the exchange rate of points. There's a lot of misconception about that as well, and I see that as a common misunderstanding among my students as well, is when they think profit, they think making as many points as possible. Profit is about making as many points more than your opponent as possible, and that's where the difference lies. I would rather make 2 points here and my opponent have 0 than make 100 points and my opponent, or make 101 points and my opponent have 100. So if I make 100 points and they make 99 and I only get 1 point more than them, then I would rather just destroy it all and get 2 points more than my opponent. It's much more valuable. But that 1 extra point is going to help get me that much closer to victory later in the game. So making more than your opponent is what you need to aim for in attacking defense. You want to make good exchanges. You want to make a good exchange rate. That's the point of attack and defense. That's the point of attacking. When you're defending, you're trying to minimize the loss of the exchange rate. So that in and of itself is the secret to attack and defense. You want to make the best exchange rate possible. And that is why being on the outside is usually more profitable than trying to actually kill something. Because if you fell for the trap and tried to just push and cut like so, then you might see that the exchange rate is not nearly as good as if you had just attacked and made them get like 2 or 3 points, and you get a lot more points. We could go into a big analysis about if this cut's good or not and what's the variations following this cut, but I'm not trying to get into a bunch of deep reading, so you can analyze that on your own time and make your own judgment. What I'm trying to say here is you should consider the other strategies too. You should consider just letting them connect sometimes, and sometimes that strategy may be more effective than just cutting. And that's actually the concept that we learned from this game, is that maybe attacking from the outside is more profitable than trying to cut and keep all 3 groups cut apart. Because in the game, white tried to do that, and there was a lot of reading errors on a lot of small things, and maybe you guys can attack and defense better, maybe you can't, I don't know. But if we look at the result, white did end up splitting all 3 groups, but where did white get the profit? Where did white get points? And that's why we say that the profit's more important than trying to kill something or trying to cut. At the end of the day, attack defense is about the exchange rates. And where did white get more than black? And yes, he got a few points more than black, but he could have gotten a lot more than this. Here, I only see like maybe 5 points right here, maybe 6 or 7 points right there. But what if I had gotten to attack the way I wanted to earlier? And what if I had just played this one? What is that? Because black had some thickness. So if we say that white got about 7 points more than black, because I'm pretty sure he had at least, he's probably going to get like 4 or 5 points with the thickness. Here, white gets the 7 points in the corner like he did have, but he also gets a 6 points on the side for 2 points. And there's a weak stone. So I think that's more profitable, even though it doesn't look it. And it's very deceptive on how you calculate the points. And so I may be kind of wrong on the calculations, so bear with me. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm just trying to give you an example and trying to explain the theory and attack defense, and that sometimes surrounding your opponent from the outside is more profitable in the exchange rates than trying to cut and keep them in groups of 3. And I think that's a great thing to take away from this game and from this example is this new strategy that maybe you can implement in some of your games. I'm not saying it'll be effective all the time. I'm not saying you should try and do it every game. I'm saying that sometimes this strategy may be more effective than just kind of splitting and cutting and just keeping them weak and never gaining anything. All right, well, hopefully you guys found that enjoyable. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and hopefully you guys will be able to use that in your games. But as always, guys, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.